There is a very specific moment when you realize you've crossed the line. You started with, I just like a few BTS songs. Nothing serious. You were not planning to learn everyone's names or to watch hours of content. You definitely were not planning to know random facts that nobody asked you about. And then somewhere along the way, you realized, wait, I'm actually ARMY. But the funniest part? You probably don't even know exactly when it happened. 1. When you stopped needing to check who was singing. At first, you needed help. You'd hear a song and think, okay, who's that? You'd look at the screen, maybe check the comments. But eventually, you just knew who is singing, and you don't need references anymore. That's when you should probably have realized. The situation was getting serious. 2. When you could recognize them without trying. Then it gets worse. You start recognizing them from tiny things. Their voice, their laugh, their mannerisms, the way they react. You don't even need someone to tell you who's who anymore. At the same time, you wonder how you know all this without being officially certified. 3. When one BTS video became 20. This is probably one of the biggest signs. You search for one BTS video. Maybe you want to watch a performance. 20 minutes later, you're still watching an interview, a behind-the-scenes video, funny clips, then another performance. Then suddenly YouTube recommends something from years ago, and before you know it, you've been watching BTS for hours. You came for one video and accidentally entered an entire universe. 4. When BTS references start making sense, then something changes. You hear a phrase, a joke, and suddenly you know exactly what it means. You're already laughing while someone else is confused. That's when you realize you've accumulated BTS context. You remember things, recognize references, you know the running jokes. And sometimes you don't even know how you learned them. You just did. 5. When your bias stopped being a simple answer. At some point, someone asks, who's your favorite member? It's suddenly not an easy question. Maybe you started with one member. Then another member did something that made you question everything. Because the more you watch them, the harder it becomes to keep everything neatly organized. 6. When BTS became part of your routine, maybe you started listening to BTS casually. Then somehow their music became part of your everyday life. You play BTS while working, cleaning, traveling, exercising, when you're happy, when you're tired. At that point, BTS isn't just something you occasionally listen to. It's become part of your routine. 7. When you started explaining BTS to other people. Someone asks why you like BTS, and instead of giving a normal answer, you start explaining their music, members, particular performances. And suddenly you're giving a presentation nobody requested. You stop and realize, yep, you're ARMY. 8. When you realized you care about all 7. Maybe you originally came because of one member, but somewhere along the way, something changes. You start appreciating everyone's personality, everyone's talents, everyone's individual journey. You become interested in what each member brings to the group. And eventually, the idea of BTS feels incomplete without all 7. That's when you realize your relationship with the group has changed. 9. The moment you stopped calling yourself a casual fan. And maybe there's no dramatic moment, no official ceremony, no announcement. You simply wake up one day and realize you know the members, you know their music, you've watched their content, you recognize references, you have favorite moments, you have opinions, you have memories, and suddenly saying, I just casually like BTS, doesn't really sound believable anymore. So ARMY, tell me your moment in the comments, because I have a feeling every ARMY has a story.